Right, I've tried to start this video about 10 times and I really don't know how to start it. It's a tough one. Today's video, I want to be covering things to do with spiritual scammers, scammers within the occult, scammers on YouTube and on the occult side of YouTube as well, and on the spiritual side of YouTube too. I'm going to be covering a whole load of stuff. And I'm going to be speaking about things that hopefully will help you guys differentiate between somebody who is being genuine and somebody who isn't. I think the reason I haven't really spoke on this before is, you see, my YouTube channel, I've cultivated it to be, hopefully as best I can be, a safe space, you know. I am very much each to their own. Not everyone agrees with me who watches me. I don't agree with everyone either. And that's absolutely fine here. It's A-okay by me. Because I think it's healthy to not exist in an echo chamber and to disagree sometimes and learn from each other. Whether that's a good or a bad thing. You know, that's the way it is. Because life is like that and that's how life should be. However, there are people who take advantage of vulnerable people and it's doing my head in. That's me speaking candidly. That's something I say all the time. It's doing my head in and I can't stand by and just see it happen, okay? Now, I can't sit here and go, well, this YouTuber did this and this one did that and this occult author is doing this and blah, blah, blah. I wish I could, but I can't. At the end of the day, I'm one woman. I'm a one-woman show, not to disempower myself, far from it, but I know more than I let on. I've mentioned that in videos before, and I'm also in the UK, and look, I don't feel comfortable, essentially, naming names, things like this. But hopefully, from some of the stuff that I will describe to you, you can read between the lines, and you can maybe deduce that yourself. Oh, she might be talking about this person, she might be talking about that person, but not just the person, the tactics they use. There may be people out there that I haven't heard of that are doing this same sort of thing, okay? So that's why I'm spreading this message, and that's why we're going to talk about it. So, usual intros, let's get into it. Alright, if you're new, welcome. If you're not new, welcome back. I'm Sarah. I go by that Divination witch. And like I said, it's a safe space here. You can share opinions, ask questions. We just don't judge, okay? Because I don't tolerate crap. If I see it, you're blocked. That's the way I operate now. Zero tolerance on that, okay? If you want to exist somewhere that you know you're not going to be made fun of or bullied, well, join, hit subscribe. And if you would like to support me and help me continue to make videos, all of my links are in the description. I offer lots of different readings. I've got a Patreon myself as well, where I do offer readings and I teach different things on there. So yeah, go check it out if you're so inclined. Thank you. If you exist as a spiritual creator, well, you're gonna have to sell yourself. I've just sold myself there. I've told you about my links. I do lots of readings myself. I'd be a hypocrite to say that. No, you shouldn't sell yourself. You shouldn't charge for spiritual services. I mean, some people are of that rhetoric, and I think that's totally false and wrong, because at the end of the day, we do live in a capitalist society if you're in the Western world, but wherever you live, you've got to pay to exist, essentially. We are no different. So, you know, pay us for our services. You'd pay a hairdresser. You'd pay a makeup artist. You know, they're not necessarily essential things either. Like makeup artistry isn't, although it would be to me. I love makeup. It's not an essential service though, is it? So why should it be free? Even non-essential services are not free. Hello, electric is not free. I am digressing. So, if you exist in a spiritual way online, yeah, you'll see loads of creators that offer readings, spell work, courses, stuff like this. It's not even just spiritual people who offer online courses and online content. It's the way of the world. This is the market we are moving into, all right? I've got nothing against that myself. I've enrolled on other people's courses. I have sold courses myself. I've done a few different workshops, one on Hecate, one on magic, one on sigils. I have partook in Jack Grail's Hecate course, although I haven't finished it because I never get time. But there are people out there genuinely selling stuff. It is what it is. Nothing wrong with that in itself. However, certain people are out there selling things, let's say, differently. Now, I'm not talking about prices because prices are ambiguous. You know, I've been accused of being too high on my prices, but then I've been accused of being too cheap. And I kind of win here. I just go with what I feel is right personally, what the going rate is. There are some people that will charge astronomical things, which is ludicrous to me. Shop around, have a look around, you know, use your own discernment with that. So I'm not so much talking about prices because that's ambiguous. That's how somebody values themselves and their work, etc. You're never going to please everyone with a price. What I am talking about is purely taking advantage of somebody. So a couple of examples are in my mind right now that I can think of. One such example is a person who, well, actually, I think they're both on YouTube. One has changed their tactics now. So I'm like, okay, how's this going to go down? Now, if you know, you know. I would prefer it if you didn't start naming names and going after people because, like I've said at the start of this video, this is a safe space, all right? I'm not in it for drama, but I'm trying to spread the awareness where I can. So let's try and say this tactfully. This person built up their following around occultism and their take on it. Nothing wrong with that. I do the same. Again, I would be a hypocrite if I said otherwise, you know, and I do practice some left-hand path practices. I have gone through Kabbalah path workings. I have gone through the Qliphoth. You know, I'd be a hypocrite if I said Western occultism wasn't my jam, all right? This person, however, built up an audience specifically around all of that, and then they had their own Patreon. Again, fine, whatever, do what you want. Pricing, again, I can't comment on that because that's ambiguous. That is somebody who is valuing their own worth in their own way. However, this person promised snake oil, you could say. This person promised to be able to turn people into vampires. Again, some people, if you're in the occult, will know who this person is. This thing I have been aware of for years. At time of recording, somebody emailed me, and I am not ignoring you, but I haven't replied because I don't know what to say to you. They think there's more to it, let's say. This is not because of that email, but I'm just spreading awareness of tactics here. I don't think he'll be the only one offering such things, but he made a mint of this, as they say in England. And each their own, you know, he's valuing himself the way he values himself, but he wholeheartedly was selling a ritual every month to turn people into a vampire. Now, as somebody who works with Lilith, who has gone through the Qliphoth, and when I say go through the Qliphoth, it's not just a one and done thing, it's a lifetime initiation. But I've traversed it at least the once on some level. I know I'll be doing it again at some point, but that's personal to me. But as somebody who is, I mean, come on, I've got vampirism books behind me. I've spoke about it on a live stream. Look, I know my shit about psychic vampirism. nobody else can turn you into a vampire or a psychic vampire, okay? They just can't. There are numerous theories around what this person did on the back of it. I'm not going to dive into said theories, but what I am going to say on a surface level, that was kind of snake oil. That was like surface level scam to me. That's like me saying, I am going to sell you a connection with Hecate. I've seen that as well. Not that person. I've seen it loads on Etsy. Let me tell you, because I sell on Etsy, I have for years. It's a wild west on Etsy. People selling attunements in different deities, portals to different deities. It's absolute snake oil bullshit. You know, there's scams all over the shop. If you are being told you're going to be turned into some sort of vampire or mythical freaking creature, if you are going to have a portal to a deity or an attunement with a deity or something that is too good to be true, essentially, then it is. I believe that, how do I put this? If you want to be a psychic vampire, you got to do it yourself. Some people are like more naturally prone to be able to do this. Some people are very predatory about it. Some are not, you know. It's a nuanced topic. It's a separate topic within itself. But some random person cannot turn you into one, especially in a group ritual setting, not even an individual ritual, a group ritual. It doesn't work like that. Nobody else can initiate you into anything. You know, I've seen other creators promise to initiate people into the cliff off, as an example, because that's left-hand path and it's more of an edgy thing. Let's put it like that. Nobody else can do it for you, petal, as they say in the Northeast. My petal. Nobody else can do it for you. Nobody can initiate you into a current that you don't put the hard work in for. It's like, I don't know, nobody can promise you a connection with Lilith, as an example. She's in my head right now. She'll laugh in your face. You need to put the hard work in yourself. She'd just be like, what the fuck, and laugh at you. Any deity would. You know, some may be more compassionate than others, but you got to put the hard work in yourself. Nothing in life is for free. Same goes for spell work. Now, I'm not saying spell work doesn't work. I'm a witch. I do it. It's very rare. I don't think I've ever paid anyone else to do a spell for me, actually. I have paid for readings. It is not to say other people doing a spell for you cannot work, but you would get the best results if you did it, because you're showing your dedication and you are willing to put the work in. That's the way the universe is. The energy you put out is what you attract. I know law of attraction co-opted that and made it into something it's not. But it's a hermetic principle, as above, so below. You know, it's a thing. It is a thing. So you trying to take a shortcut in life rarely works. So that's the first example I can give you. If you have somebody out there, regardless of pricing for things, saying they're going to perform some kind of ritual or do something fantastic for you that's going to promise you this, this and this, it's very rare that works. Very, 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 very rare. And especially on a mass level. What that person is doing is preying on vulnerable people who feel disempowered, who want to have that power, who want to be in control of their lives. They're preying on that and making money out of it, essentially. And it's the same for those Etsy sellers that I mentioned who sell these attunements and whatever. Etsy, last time I checked, was cracking down on it. But again, you've got to put the hard work in yourself, you know. Now, another person who's in my mind with another sort of scam, and I say sort of, is online courses. Now, I've made them myself. They're not easy to do. It takes time to do. And there are some amazing ones out there like Jack Grail. I've started that. I haven't bloody finished it still. But he's very knowledgeable, okay? There are others, I am sure. And I'm not shitting on everyone's, but in the world of Chat GPT, there are a few, actually, more than one I can think of, that are now just Chat GPT and online courses about magic. There is one particular person who talks about Kabbalah and things, but then he's an expert in Hecate, and he's an expert in other demonology practices, and he's an expert in the Fae, and now he's an expert in Yggdrasil and the Norse pantheon. Like, you're not even 30 and you're an expert in all. Like, oh no. Like, I feel like a total bitch making this video, which is why I haven't done it yet, because I know how it feels to be on the receiving end of people saying you're a joke, you don't know what you're talking about, all this. So I'm trying to be tactful about this. But there is a line between sharing your gnosis and like being an outright douche scam artist using ChatGPT, because I can visualize the website in my head where they're selling all these things, and it is AI artwork, it's ChatGPT descriptions with the double dash mark thing, and the whole this is not a path working, this is a becoming into the blah blah blah, that whole language. And it's not just one person, okay, but I've seen it off a few creators where they're selling these courses like that, promising you all these initiations into different things. Like, I've initiated into the Kabbalah, but yes, I'm sharing my Cliffoth journey, but I haven't yet created any sort of book or course on it. I may do one day, but it might be in years to come. I'm going through something very, very personal with Hecate right now, which I'll just say it's called catabasis. If you know, you know. I'm not going any more in depth with that. She's told me that's a lifetime. She went, Sarah, this is going to be a lifetime. And I'm like, oh. And she told me she wants me to share my experience and help others do it. But it might not be until I'm like, if I'm still alive by then, in my 50s or something, Like, I'm in my 30s right now. I'm almost 36. These things are not a flash in the pan. And even the first person I mentioned isn't even as old as me. And age isn't everything, okay? It's not. We're all different. We all have different levels of knowledge and different ways of understanding the world. But come on. That's what I'd say. I mean, just come on. Another obvious spiritual scam is getting on about ChatGPT. Back to AI readings. Back to Etsy. Yeah, you've got the attunements, stuff like that. You've also got AI readings. As a reader who has sold on Etsy since 2021, maybe 2020-ish, look, I've been on there a while. And there's always been scammers. There's always been people saying, I'll draw your lover. I'll draw your spirit guide, and put a prompt into AI. These days, people are doing that for channelings off deities. I had somebody have a go at me because of how much I charge for a deity reading, because they could get more off other readers for less. And I'm like, babes, it takes me like over an hour to do a full deity reading. It wipes your energy out. If you're a reader, if you speak with deities, you will know how powerful those bloody energies are, how complex they are too. It wipes me out when I do that. And then you have some twit who sits there charging £3 for an AI thing, and people are getting scammed. I've had customers as well come to me really upset. They've been scammed off these readers. And I've seen other witches talk about this and say, well, support your local witches. And like, have no compassion. Babes, sometimes people don't know who's reputable or not. And sometimes as well, I get it. Prices, again, going back to price, are too high. It's like, it's the age we live in. This is why for me personally, I do offer short readings for like £5-6. I do try and be accessible, but we've got to live too. it's a minefield, okay? But in a nutshell, I felt I had to share this, okay? Yeah, it's a scary world we're in, and people are going to take advantage of vulnerable people, and it gives the rest of us a bad name. Even my own stepsister ages ago, long story, I can only say so much, but she mentioned somebody she knew who was addicted to getting tarot readings, ringing up the tarot lines, which way back when I was in between jobs, I did do a stint on, and it's awful. I could not live with myself staying on doing those things. People do get addicted. She was spending so much money, hundreds, and then she had no money to live. It was like an addiction, like how people have gambling problems and stuff like that. And she thought we were all kind of like that. And you know what? There's good and bad in every industry. There are genuine spiritual people out there that just want to help in their own ways. Even people that I don't always agree with, that just want to help, okay? People I don't even get along with that want to help, and I will give them their dues. All right, you're trying your best, you're doing what you can. Might not get along with you. It is what it is. We can agree to disagree. But there is some outright scam artists out there, and it's becoming more and more prevalent the more the world is getting difficult, is what I would say. The more harder it is to exist in the world, the more you're going to get predators preying on vulnerable people. And, you know, I worked in mental health. Hecate led me to that. She led me to get counselling qualifications. And I have such empathy for people. I've helped people who have been on the bottom. I've literally, like, I used to work on a crisis line. I've had people about to, you know, read between the lines, and they won't tell me where they are. I have to kind of keep them calm and deduce what can they see around them, try and fucking find it out from the other end of the country to save their lives. You know, I've done stuff like that, and I've seen people on the bottom, truthfully, totally on the bottom, and these people that prey on them, no, not even, no, I just don't even have words. I don't even know what I was going to say. Just disgust is what I feel for them. All right, anyways, be careful, have your wits about you. If you are in any sort of spiritual circles, just have your wits about you as to, like, what somebody's promising you, okay? And, yeah, stay safe out there. I don't know what else to say. All right, stay safe, stay witchy, all that jazz.